back. This is Amplify's third demo video, and I'm going to present you what our team has been working on in the last sprint. So you probably remember from our first demo video that where I showed you the assets tokenization process, and what exactly has been updated in the asset tokenization is the fact that we right now have the risk score recorded also in the blockchain along with the other asset information. How it ends up over there is when you're clicking on the new asset and you're going through the process of tokenizing an asset, you're going to provide your score from 1 to 10 for every single type of criteria, and all that information will be then recorded inside the asset. This is what's new about the asset. Now we're going to move to the pools page. The pools and what exactly they represent. So when you're creating a pool, you're basically allowing your liquidity providers to deposit their stable coins inside your pool so that you can then create loans and borrow those stable coins at a certain rate. Of course, you then need to repay and return the stable coins, and the liquidity providers will get the additional reward on top. So the pools is basically this intermediate type of entity where you are going to match the liquidity providers and your loans. As you can see right now on my screen, we already have created a couple of pools. They have different types from factoring and discounting. They have their APY, which is a dummy data for now because we don't have a lending possibility. But once the lending will be created, then we will have a dynamic APY based on the market and demand of each pool. Then we have the deposited amount and the borrowed amount, and of course the assets locked. This indicates how many assets have already been moved into the pool, and probably a loan is also created for these assets. I'll show you exactly how you can create your own pool so that you can then invite your liquidity providers or actually create a loan for that exact pool. So you're going to click on the new pool. Over here, you need to select to complete the entire form. First thing you need to do is to select the stable coin that the pool will support. The pool can only support a single stable coin, so be wise and select the one that you need. We already have a pool for every single type of stable coin, so for the demo proposal, just go ahead with the DAI. Then we need to select the type. The type, you can select discounting or factoring, but bear in mind that your loan will also need to match this type so that you can take a loan from this same pool. So I'll go and select the discounting. Now, with the display name. Display name is something that will only be displayed for your either liquidity providers or for yourself inside the list so that you can identify your pool much easier. We already have a DAI pool, so it's the other DAI pool's name is DAI1. For this one, I will create a DAI2 pool. And a minimum deposit is something that is needed for the lenders. Again, the liquidity providers, this is how much they need to at least lend to your pool to be able to start earning something. So I'm going to click deploy. You can see an overview of the same information. Clicking deploy once again, and the MetaMask pop-up will appear. We need to confirm the transaction and wait until we either receive the notification in the top right corner, or we can see on our screen inside this pop-up that the deployment was successful. So let's wait a couple seconds and see for that. As you can see, here is the MetaMask confirmation notification, and this is the notification on our screen. We have been redirected to the pools page once again, and we can already see our pool that we just created. It has 0 assets locked inside, and it has all the properties that we put in the previous form. So we can click on this pool to once again have a look at the properties and have a look at the liquidity that's inside the pool. Remember, the APY values, they're still dummy data for now. Now I'm going to go ahead to the loans page. Over here on the loan page, this is where you're going to open a loan. When you're opening a loan, you are then allowing to borrow as many stablecoins from the pool as your value allows you to do that. It's basically similar to a credit line in your bank account, when you can open a credit line for a certain amount and borrow as many times as you want. But then at the end of the day, of course, you need to repay the entire amount that you have been borrowing. So let's go ahead and create our own loan. We're going to click on the new loan. From the assets list, we can select the list of available assets. You can see right here we only have the asset with the ID 8 available. That's because all the other assets are already logged in other pools or loans. So let's select our available asset. This asset has a value of 22,400, but the available for loan is only 17,000. 920. That's because this asset has a certain risk score, and the available for loan amount will adjust based on that risk score. The same goes for interest rate. Depending on the risk score of the asset, you will have a different interest rate. And of course, the maturity date, this one is coming from the same asset, and it will be the same maturity date for your loan. We're going to click continue. Over here, as you remember, as I mentioned, we need to select the same type for the loan as we have created our pool. So in this case was the discounting. If we're going to click on the drop down, we're going to see that these are the available discounting pools for now. We can see our own pool that we previously created, and we can see other discounting pools available. If we are going to change for factoring type, of course, we're going to see different pools over here, and these are all factoring pools. So let's change back to discounting and select the pool that we already created. So we're going to click on initial loan, and this is the first step that we need to do is lock our asset. So this is our asset with the ID 8, and we're going to lock it inside the DAI2 pool. I'm going to click on lock asset, wait until the MetaMask will pop up, confirm the transaction, and let's wait until the transaction is being processed by the blockchain. Once the transaction will be processed successfully, we'll move to the next step. And the next step will be the loan creation itself, so opening a loan by itself. Our transaction has been confirmed successfully, and now we can move on to the next step. We're going to click continue, and this is our loan value, the maturity date, and the type that we previously inputted in the form. So we're going to click create loan. Over here, another transaction will come up from MetaMask. We're going to click confirm and wait until this transaction is also successful. After the loan has been created, we are going to be redirected back to the loans page, and over here we are going to see our loan that we just created. This is the loan value that you previously seen. This is the maturity date, and this is the discounting. You can click on the loan to look inside the details, where you can also see the interest rate, the due amount, the maturity date, which pool, and so on. We also have two tabs at the top side. The one is called loan and the other is transaction. The transaction will basically be a list of the transaction that happened inside your loan. So the data that you're seeing right now on your screen is just dummy data for now, but it showcases you how a loan would work. So imagine, for example, I have a loan for this amount, like 17,000, and I'd like to borrow only 10,000. Then I would go ahead and borrow 10,000 from the loan, and the transaction would appear over here. If I would like to repay that amount, I'll go ahead and do my repayment of the loan, and the transaction will appear over here at the top as a new transaction with the value of the repayment. You can also see the status over here of our loan. Right now it is open, but once the loan will be completely repaid, then the status will change to a closed loan. And once the loan is closed, we're able to withdraw our NFT back to our wallet. That's been it, guys, for this sprint. Thank you very much for your attention, and talk to you in the next one.